and welcome to this video series all about the new announcement for the future of digital government in the UK. I have made 4 videos so far, and this is sort of the final video, but it's also the capstone. The other 3 videos go into a deeper dive into different aspects of the announcements and reports that came out of it. This is sort of like a high-level summary along with some of my own sort of thoughts and analysis, inspired by others as well. So let's dig in. So first, let's talk a bit about the history of this. So in 2010, Martha Lane Fox was brought in to do an evaluation of the UK's digital capacity within government and wrote this really famous report called Revolution, Not Evolution. Out of this report, the UK government created GDS, or Government Digital Service, which spurred a whole movement of digital service units all over the world, including Canada, where I'm from, was inspired by the work of GDS. One of the things that allowed them to be so influential around the world is they did a ton of blogging in their early years. We all read and were inspired by and took to heart. They also did a lot of really interesting things, really focusing on the front end of people's experience of government, famously gov.uk, but also some of the common components they built that helped give people a better service experience. But after a few years of this, momentum started to be lost. A bunch of the early people who were involved in it moved on to other roles. Many of them left government. Part of it is that they just kind of got through the easy stuff and then really got stuck at the harder, more infrastructure-based stuff. There's also politics and their push to create change. They made some enemies within the system. Things got messy and complex. And the political will moved and no longer was the focus. So eventually the first wave moved on. GDS was split and there was a central digital and data office. So GDS continued to focus on service delivery, where CDDO focused more on the policy side of things. And honestly, it just lost its mojo and the UK started to slide. When this new government came in, it decided to refocus on digital. So it brought GDS together with CDDO and combined them with a couple of other key tech hubs, notably I.AI, the skunkworks at 10 Downing Street, the AI skunkworks at 10 Downing Street. And all of this was brought into the Department of Science and Technology, or DSIT. And then they brought in some brilliant minds to help them reimagine how they could do this, notably Emily Middleton, who played a very key role in all of this. They launched an advisory committee chaired by that same Martha Lane Fox, who had launched this over 15 years ago. And it includes some of the best minds that I know in the UK on this, people like Jenny Tennyson, who I think is one of the most brilliant minds in the UK on data. Aaron Maniam, who's done amazing work documenting and learning from what happened in Singapore, as well as many other places in the world. And of course, David Eves, fellow Canadian, who I would argue is the top academic in the world when it comes to digital government. There was some debate about how influential this committee actually was in the process, but the fact that they knew to assemble it and that these people decided to put their hand up to be part of this is testament alone to how important it was. Okay, so what came out of it? Well, they released 2 reports on Tuesday. The first one is more of a current state of how things are in terms of state of digital government in the UK, and the second is a vision for the future. So I've done a bunch of videos that go into a deeper dive into both of these reports. So this is just going to be a quick high-level summary. So they talked about 5 key focus areas that are really well sort of talked about within this really snazzy video that they created that I'll link to. But they are: 1, easier lives, centering services on the user experience, not government process. 2, faster growth, using government resources to support and unlock businesses. 3, firmer foundations, updating the back end of government to be more secure, interconnected, and transparent. 4, smarter organizations, ensuring public servants have the skills and tools to provide services that echo people's lives. And 5, higher productivity and efficiency, using technology to unlock efficiency and reduce duplication, leading to better, cheaper services. They then announced a 6-point plan for government digital reform. 1, joined up public sector services. 2, harnessing the power of AI for public good. 3, strengthening the extent our digital and data public infrastructure. 4, elevating leadership and investing in talent. 5, funding for outcomes, procuring for growth and innovation. And 6, committing to transparency and driving for accountability. They then have put this all together under a new government digital service, a new GDS, which is going to have 5 bold initiatives over the next few months leading into the summertime. First, a beta gov.uk app and gov.uk wallet, which will facilitate much more easy service delivery for people. 2, piloting improvements on how we can better manage long-term health conditions or disabilities to get Britain back to work. 3, piloting gov.uk chat, which is going to be an LLM-based, large language model-based chatbot. 4, launching a new AI accelerator program, upskilling program to really get AI skills across all of government. And finally, launching a new government vulnerability scanning service that's going to really help with cybersecurity all across the government. Beyond this, the new GDS will also be doing a lot of research in its first few months, culminating this summer in a government digital and AI roadmap. It's going to focus on a couple of things. First, better support for small and medium enterprises, notably through the development of digital commercial center of excellence, as well as reimagining how the government does procurement and moving of money. A strategy for supporting local governments. 3, developing metrics to measure success on digital in the UK government. And 4, a new approach to digital funding in the spending review phase 2, which is happening over the next few months. All right, so that gives you sort of a high level of what's happened. What do I think about it? Well, first things first, they're saying all the right things. For those of us who've been working in the digital space, these are the things that we've been talking about and campaigning for, in some cases for over a decade. So it's really good to hear what they're saying. They know their stuff. Stuff like a heavy focus on procurement and HR to sort of institutionalize digital into government at a much deeper level. After all, the UK is the biggest employer and investor in the country. So using this power to really shape markets and unlock the potential of the broader country is just a brilliant strategy. Also, the most important thing is having a ministerial champion with real power who gets this. And I think this is what they have in Peter Kyle. I can't emphasize how important this is. The role that Francis Maud played in the original GDS is essential to the success they had, particularly in the early years. And in many ways, when Francis Maud stepped away, that's when you start to see GDS start to slide a bit in terms of its impact in government and its success. They're talking a really good game about being transparent, encouraging public servants to be much more open and celebrating successes. And that's great. The one concern I have is that the process up until this point has not been open or transparent. It's been a real black box, even for many people who are fairly well connected. The greatest gift of the early GDS was the blogging and how open they were, sharing their journey that inspired many of us around the world to learn from and follow, the breadcrumbs they left for us. And I'm really hoping this openness brings a renewal of that open blogging and sharing again. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. There's huge hype around AI, no surprise here. Everybody is both excited and nervous about it. It does hold a lot of potential, but this does need to be balanced with caution. There are real dangers and concerns around AI, and I do wonder if this push for speed of results might mean that caution becomes more of a lip service, particularly if it's seen as standing in the way of progress and change. So that'll be something that'll be interesting to see, is how serious the UK government is about the cautions and dangers of AI. There's a lot of focus on service delivery, which is common within the digital space, but I noticed very little mention of policy. And ultimately, services are only as good as the policies that underpin them. Jennifer Polka's book, Recoding America, really goes into a lot of detail about the importance of the policy infrastructure in the digital services that you end up creating. So it'll be interesting to see how policy plays a role in this as it moves forward. One of the areas I have a lot of questions about is the local government piece. They did mention it a bit, but it's not clear to me exactly what this is going to look like. Now, I know that that's really what the next few months is going to be about exploring, and it's exciting to see that Theo Blackwell, is a really well-respected, he's the Chief Digital Officer for the City of London, so he's coming to do a tour of duty with GDS to help them map out this, what the local government piece is going to look like. It's something I think has a ton of potential. It's really important given how many services are delivered at a local government level. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that work. I'm also really excited by how much community came up and the importance of communities of practice. Now, obviously, this is a huge bias of mine given this is what I do, but communities of practice are so essential in bringing new ideas and getting new ideas into the water supply, giving people a community to share questions and learn together and grow together and not just slide back. The GDS's relationship with communities of practice has been a bit fickle. They fund it at times and then pull back that funding at other times, and so just kind of ebbs and flows. Now, clearly it looks like they're funding it again, which is fantastic. The question is, how sustainable is this? How long will this funding be around here, given the history? But I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, I'm excited to work with them and really help scale up the impact that they're hoping to have. Ultimately, though, the real test for this is going to be the long term. This change will take time. Can GDS stick with this in the long term? Will Peter Kyle stay in this role long term? Governments have a tendency to move around their ministers somewhat frequently, and that can have a really big impact in stalling progress. Will it be sustained as things get tough, or as other crises and issues emerge? It's easy to make a plan, it's much harder to stick with it. So it'll be interesting to see what this looks like in 1 year, 2 years, 4 years from now. How much they're able to stick to it, how much they're able to evolve and adapt, or how much this moves onto the back burners, other things take over. So those are my reflections. Honestly, that my overall feeling is one of excitement and hope. I couldn't have hoped for anything better. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this all goes. As are, I think, a lot of the people I know within my network and community are also equally excited by this. And I think other countries around the world can take notice and see this as an inspiration, as a bit of a North Star, very much like the original GDS was some 15 years ago. That's me. What about you? What are your thoughts on this? What do you think? What are you most excited about? What are you most concerned about? Let me know. Add your thoughts in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you.